Hey, hey, hey. This is Dr. Jonathan Shepard speaking. Come on in the room. Today is Friday, April. My Lord, I don't forget what month we're in. March. I'll be April. April 9th. I had a brain freeze there. My fault. Um, I am just really taken aback by so much that has happened today. April 9th, Friday, April 9th, 2021. Um, so much has happened today. Come on in the room. We are mourning the loss of two people, two great people. DMX, at the age of 50, died today. And wow, that is just such a loss for those who love his music, for those who love what he has done. He was a icon, and we definitely send our prayers and thoughts to the family of DMX at age 50. And we know that people have struggled with addictions. People have struggled with addictions throughout this pandemic. And we know that in the pandemic, opioid use, alcohol, substance use has definitely increased. And so at some point, we may do a show on that. But want to send our thoughts and prayers out to the family of DMX. We do know that he was on life support for about a whole week before they ended up having to, quote unquote, in our terms, pull the plug. But that's not that's not an easy decision. It's a very hard decision for people and families to do. So again, our hearts and our prayers go out to him. And then the Duke of Edinburgh, the husband of Queen Elizabeth, 99 years old, Prince Philip, died today. And our hearts and prayers again go out to the Queen of England. And some people might say, well, why do we really care so much about her in England? Well, remember, England was once our parent country here in the United States of America. And there's always been a bond between the U.S. and England. And so many people have been sending out their well wishes. It's just been a lot has happened this week. And so even with myself, one of my personal friends, close friends, his mother died this past week. And so it's just been a real tough week, a tough week of loss. It really has. And so I'm glad that you all are here today, because we're going to talk about certain things that hopefully will help inspire you, help encourage you. I am so glad to see so many of you all out there. Thank you, Wumi, for joining. Thank you, Mary Jordan. Thank you for the opportunity yesterday. We had a wonderful time in our session yesterday. So thank you for joining us today. So come on in the room, share, network. I know I'm starting a little bit different. I normally not stumbling over my words like I am today, but it's just been literally that type of week that I've had that, I tell you, it has just been one of those weeks that we just say, man, thank God it's Friday. Again, thank you, Hope Health Systems, for supporting this Ask the Doctors broadcast. We are located in Baltimore, Maryland, and we will do you some good if you come our way. Direct care for mental health issues. I want to make sure that anyone who is in need of mental health care knows that Hope Health System is available. We're still open. We're doing telehealth sessions. Thank you for coming on the room. I love it. People are coming on in the room. I just want to help set the stage for what we're going to do on this evening or afternoon if you are watching on the West Coast. And I just want to say thank you to all those who watch in our replays. Last week, we had a tremendous number of people who watched. I tell people all the time, we get triple the number of views from my live views. So thank you for those who go back and replay. You want to go back and watch last week's episode because we talked about how to go and move into places of worship safely and how to be able to worship in a church or in a church setting safely. And so it was such a dynamic conversation. I got so many hits and people asking to go back and to watch that show. So I encourage you to do that. I encourage all those who have not been following us, please know that you can follow me at jshep2471 at gmail.com. Get my email that way, or you go on Facebook and you can hit me up, and I'll make sure that all the resources that you need, we will supply for you. All right, that's enough of this introduction for today. I am so excited about the two guests that I have with me, and we are preparing hopefully for a third guest who will also add to our conversation. Today, we are going to talk about how to lose and stay on top. Wow. How to lose and to stay on top. The people who I have with me today, I have mad respect for. Mad means I have a lot of respect for them. I really do value their opinions. I really do trust what they're going to say and share with you today. And I just want to go ahead and get this show started. We're going to talk about how to be able to handle these losses and yet still win. So my first guest up, she is no stranger to this program. She's been with me before, Misha Maynard. And I want to bring her on in all the way from Nashville, Tennessee. Well, come on in the room, Misha. How are you doing?
I'm doing outstanding, and I am excited to be with you this evening, this Friday evening. But like you just indicated, there's been so much that we've experienced as a community, and then also individually. So I think that this is such a great topic for us to tackle this evening. So I look forward to it, the great discussion.
Absolutely. And so just tell the people just a little bit about yourself, what you do, so we can know what kind of perspectives you're going to be coming from today.
So I have the pleasure of where my passion is as operating as the Chief Operating Officer for Cathedral Praise Church under the leadership of my father, Bishop Jerry L. Maynard. And I'm sure there's some Cathedral Praise people that's popping in there because they were excited to know that we were going to have this discussion. In my professional life, I own a small business, and we provide COVID testing, tracing, as well as we have been helping with a vaccine clinic in the North Carolina area. So I get a chance to get my feet wet there. And then just on the side, if there's ever an extra side, there's a nonprofit that I work with that I'm the executive director for. And we've been providing revenue for individuals that's been impacted by the pandemic. So we've been helping them with relief in their utilities, their rent, their mortgages. And so that just all is so exciting as well. So a lot of good being done out there.
Gotcha. Man, you are staying busy, and we appreciate all the work that you're doing, especially for those who are wanting to be vaccinated. I tell people, Black people, we do want to be vaccinated.
Yes.
It's just that equity access is not available, and one of the things I've been studying is the equity issues regarding international countries. I just found out, and again, I'm just digressing, so just a small minute here. Haiti has yet to receive a single dose of the vaccine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think that that's something that we don't understand, because I think we live in our silos somewhat, and so we don't understand the international dynamics that take place and how that also impacts us. So think about this though: if you're going to try to travel, do anything like that, you're going to probably have to be vaccinated. They're going to push some of these things, and if we are not prepared, then we cannot participate in the promises and things like that God has for us. And sometimes we limit our own selves because we're too fearful. I don't want to get the vaccine. I'm not pushing you to get it, but I am saying to you, don't do it just because of fear. Do your due diligence, read about it, and then make that decision.
Absolutely. So thank you. I wanted to save that particular part of the program for you, because I know you were working with that. That was one of the things I wrote down in my introductions, but I thought that'd be best to cover with you. Let me do this. I'm going to bring our other guests on, and we're just going to go ahead with the two of you all and move forward in this conversation. This is a gentleman who I respect greatly. He's coming all the way from Buffalo, New York. And I want to introduce, for the first time on Ask the Doctors broadcast, yes, the first time ever, we're having the Mr. Kale man. And he will, first of all, how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great. And yourself?
I'm doing good. So let the people know a little bit about what you do and up there,
Wow.
up in upstate New York.
Well, I'm truly happy to be here, of course, with Misha too, a great friend of mine. And I serve, of course, I serve as pastor of Faith Temple Community Church of God in Christ in the great city of Elmira, New York, which is about 150 miles away from Buffalo. Doing a great work there in the city of Elmira. But also, I'm also the founder and president of Soaring to Your Destiny, which is a nonprofit organization. I teach career readiness programs, but lately, which has been kicking off, is I also do corporate training in diversity and inclusion. Of course, that has been extremely important, with everything that's going on, and like you stated, what's happening on today and the loss of being able to deal with. And one of the things that really divides us is a lot of things that we don't understand about other cultures. So it's been great being able to get that platform to bring everyone together. So I'm excited to be here on this evening with you, Dr. Shep, my boy, especially an amazing topic. And so I'm so excited to dive in, and hopefully we can help some people out that's listening.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to reset the room. I see Wumi is out there. I acknowledged her earlier. She is one of the main directors. I don't want to just give all of her titles, but she's one of the main directors of Hope Health Systems. It's her parents that founded that particular organization. And so I just want to give a shout out to her. Patty Ford, who was with me last night. I see her commenting, and I'm sure there are going to be others who are commenting, who are watching. So please share, let us know that you're watching, let us know that you're looking, and we'll definitely acknowledge you as we move forward. So let's get started. All right. Man, I've been a little anxious about getting this because I realize we're going to have to do some personal transparency, revealing. Yeah. How to lose and stay on top. Let's just start there, Misha. When you heard me present this title to you, what went through your mind? I'm just gonna start there, and then we'll just let the conversation flow.
First of all, it was so much that came through because you could approach this from losing a loved one. You can approach this from losing jobs, losing finances, losing relationships. I mean, just from so many perspectives. And unfortunately, I could probably chime in on all of those, right? So
right.
Somewhere. But I really wanted to talk about an experience that took place with me in about 2013. And prior to that, I was working with some investors, and they happened to be non-Black investors, and they invested in, and I was the managing partner. And so I brought my intellect, and they were giving me a small salary, but I was participating in the dividends at the end. And so they approached me, and they said to me that they wanted to take the company public, and they were looking for a buyer for the company. And it was my baby. So I developed it. I'm the one who got us the accreditation. I did all the work. I was putting the efforts in. They did put the money behind it. I give you, it's not a problem. But they said to me that they needed to replace me as the CEO because selling the company with a Black female could not get them the monies that they needed to be profitable. Yeah, what you just did, the lean back. Okay, you just lean back in your chair. My whole entire life bent backwards, right?
Wow.
There's a few things that I cannot change without surgery. One is without being Black, being a female. Oh. and so they literally snatched that from me, that dream, the opportunities, literally your future, if you would allow it, just taken away by a mere decision that didn't include me. There's something that they came up with. And so, right there in that moment, what do you do in that type of moment when something is snatched from you, it's just gone, it dissolves, and you really feel like you have nothing to do with, you don't have a clue, you didn't cause it, you didn't, you know, it wasn't because you made a bad decision. This was just something that happened. And so in that moment, I would just say, and then I'm gonna hit the pause button and let somebody else talk. But in that moment, Dr. Shepherd and Pastor Kale, you know, I had to do some negotiating and some advocacy for myself. I had to advocate for me and negotiate for me in that moment. And I think that sometimes it's something that we don't do a great job. We want somebody else to advocate for us. We want somebody else to negotiate for us, but I had to negotiate for myself. And my first response became, that instead of giving my dividends at the end, because I can't control what this other person's going to do, I don't know what they're passionate about, you're going to get my money up front. And then that'll give me an opportunity to make whatever type of investments that I need to have. So that was just one thing. Now, I'm going to share more because I'm going to let this story unfold more as we continue to talk. So one thing I learned with the loss, Dr. Shepherd, is defining what is really loss. Because it really wasn't loss. It was a lesson.
Wow.
I'm gonna hit the pause button there.
Wow. No, that's good. That's good. Thank you. Because I was thinking about that. I was thinking about what losses have we suffered, and have they truthfully been a loss, or should we look at them as a lesson? So thank you for saying that. What I want to share now is, because I want you to pick this story up, because that's an awesome example of what happens. So what are the benefits to a loss? So I'm curious to see how you turn that particular example into now a benefit. Now, again, I'm not looking to share the whole thing, but tell us.
So what actually happened? I had to do self-assessment, because I wanted to find out, why I responded the way I did. So that was the first thing that I had to come to. And then I had to come to the conclusion that loss is a part of living.
Wow.
So some people say loss is part of winning. We've heard that. I don't even know who coined that phrase, but no, loss is a part of living. And once I got my mindset wrapped around this, that's just a part of what I have to go through in order to get where I'm going. So I had the opportunity, how I responded was connected to my results. So when I responded with the negotiating and getting some money up front, I started taking that money and invested it into my own business and launched my own business in 2012. We'll be 10 years old in 2022. So I could have folded and said, you know what, they right. I am Black. I am a woman. There's nothing I can't do. Let me go over here and just, do whatever. No, hey, listen, I can't change the color of my skin, and I'm not going to change my gender. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up those pieces, because I was broken. I'm not going to act like I wasn't. Let's be transparent. I was hurt, broken, devastated, whatever other words you want to put to it to describe it. But I had to take those pieces, put it together, and make something out of it. And what I understood from that moment was, hey, you got kicked pretty hard. Be prepared for the next time, because there's going to be another loss. Learn that loss is a part of living.
Wow. Oh man, this is awesome. This is awesome. You have kicked it off. All right, my brother, come on, step on in. And
I mean, that was amazing. I think when I think of loss, and I mean, when you first gave me the topic, I was so excited about it, because it's just been something that I've really been working on with the people, and we've been really talking about not so much change, but transition management. And I believe one of the things of dealing with loss is first thing I'll say this. I really think we have to go back in our minds. Sometimes, people talk about the perceptions and what the world puts on us, and we feed into those, right? We are trained to believe that loss means something negative. So as soon as we lose, we automatically go to the negative side of it, right? Because we're trained to think that, right. and not the whole point of where. So like for me, I always like to use the language of wins and opportunities. because loss has such a negative connotation associated with it. Everything that doesn't go our way doesn't mean it didn't go in our favor, right? And so my whole thing is, just because it didn't go the way that I perceived it in my mind does not mean it did not work in my favor. What we've been really learning is to really learn the lesson. That's where I believe that's where the loss comes into play, right? When you don't learn the lesson of the situation. There have been many, situations that I've been in. All of us, of course, I know, doctors and we're professionals, but all of us are a part of the Church of God in Christ and, our organization. And we just went through our quadrennial election and I was a candidate. Doc, you was a candidate, right? It didn't go, it didn't go the way that I expected it to go, right? But I never chalked that up as a loss, though. You know what I'm saying? There are lessons that you have to learn, and I think the only time that it is a negative is when I stay in that situation by not learning the lesson. That's a lot of times where we sulk in it. There are times where we have to get up. But again, I'll say it because it's the whole point of we have to really dive into what does transition management look like. The reason we don't move and we allow things that don't work, necessarily the way we expected it to have such a great impact on us because we don't understand transition management. You can look at that even when it comes to loss of life. If you haven't prepared for that loved one to leave, if you ain't having conversations and you holding grudges for no reason, and then you suffer a loss. It's like, oh man, I should have did, I could have did. We need to value the moment, which helps us to deal in those seasons of really transition. I just think it's the word loss that we really need to rethink and stop giving it so much power.
Yeah. You said a couple of things that I'm going to reiterate that is very poignant, and I put it in the comments section. The first thing that you said was everything that does not go our way does not mean it does not go in our favor. And I honestly do agree with that. Many people did watch because I was pretty public about the campaign that you referred to. And many people asked, well, what happened? I didn't hear what happened. And so I let people know, yeah, I didn't win the election. And I was okay with it, They was like, well, why are you okay? Because I understand that it was an awesome opportunity to present myself, to offer myself for some skill sets that people did not know that I had. Yes, they knew I was a physician. Yes, they saw me in one area, but I wanted people to see me in other areas. You're not just a pastor, Kale. You defined yourself as being a non-for-profit leader. I know that you have other business adventures that you are, very passionate about. Misha, I know that you're more than just a CEO or a COO, of the church. I mean, you have your own business ventures. You are making a difference when it comes to healthcare. There's so many different avenues that literally run through us. And so we have to understand that when you suffer that loss, there's some favor that might be coming out of it. The second thing you said, now look, I'm talking a little bit too much, but you stirred me up, my brother. You said it's important to understand transition management. Wow. I want you to pick up on that, Misha. Go ahead.
Well, I will say this. One thing that you just said, you said that I didn't win the election, or I didn't, I wasn't elected. Mm-hmm. You never said I lost. This is so key. First of all, is how you phrase something, because now you understand where you speak. When the Bible tells us, and I'm sorry, I'm biblical, so I'm gonna tell you that out of your heart, it flows from the words come from your heart. Okay, so whatever's in your heart is gonna come out your mouth. And you said I didn't win the election. Okay, right. That's different than I lost. And I think sometimes the reason why people are, as Pastor Kale says, we don't know how to transition is because we haven't been taught, or we've been taught wrong. And then the second thing is we don't understand what messaging does. Words, they are spirit and they are life. And when you say, I lost, what did you lose? Think about it. Let's do an assessment, do a checklist. What did you lose? You're still a doctor. You still are practicing. You're still a medical director. You still have your nonprofit. You still have your house, you have your cars, you have your revenue, you have your dignity. You didn't sell out anybody. You didn't compromise the God in you. You didn't compromise your core values or your core beliefs. So everything that you were before the election is still intact after the election, right?
Wow.
So there was no real quote unquote transition because you didn't lose anything.
Wow.
All you didn't do was you wasn't elected.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay, go on, Pastor Kale. I'm gonna pick.
And I agree with you because this is the thing that what we talk about. Like you said, we were trained wrong. Because here's the thing that people who are listening really got to understand: if you don't know how to deal with things that may not go your way, like I sought after greatness. It's a part of it. That doesn't stop me. But going after great things, you're gonna have to deal with those things that didn't go the way you expected. But it's like, okay, let me learn from that. But I'm not going backwards. You know what I'm saying? We're moving forward, and you're learning along the way. I tell people, even when it comes to just life management, if you're driving on the road, eventually you may have to get out of that car and get in another car, but don't get off the road and don't stop going forward. Never put the car in reverse and go backwards. And that's the thing we can't do in our minds. We allow other people to dictate how we should feel about our situation. Like you said, why are you okay with it? Because I tried something. It's okay. I teach my son in playing basketball. You miss every shot you don't take, and you cannot be afraid to miss. Other than that, oh no, I don't want to shoot, and you hold on to the ball. We have such greatness inside of us that we refuse to try anything, try new things. You cannot be a COO, you cannot be a doctor, you cannot be an entrepreneur if you are afraid to experience moments, opportunity, right? You don't become great when things are all going your way. You really don't learn anything. It's hard. You really learn things when it's like, okay, this didn't go my way. Okay, well, let me learn from that. But the fact remains is like was stated, we can't allow these words to dictate our lives. And that's the part of transition management where we're talking about how do you stay on top, keep learning, build your capacity. There should be something that you have added to your repertoire. Like you went on this campaign. There should be something you should have learned. You know what I'm saying?
I did.
What I mean? All what you were capable of. Like we survived 2020. The fact remains is all of us really realize we're stronger than we think. You know what I'm saying? And that's something to take on.
That's right. Man, this is awesome. Misha, when you were talking, you started naming these things. I was like, she better get out of my closet. Like, let me tell these people all this stuff I had.
But
I had to get that in, though.
Yeah, but sometimes if we're not careful, the event will be the death of us when it needs to be the depth of us.
Ooh.
So that event, if you're not careful, you'll focus on it and it will literally cause you to spiral downwardly. And you won't even think about all the things that God has still kept in your possession that you still have access to. And if you're not careful, that's what happens. And so I want to remind you, because I know I was walking that journey with you of the things that you still have. It's just like Paul, when the ship broke, there were still pieces of the boat that were still there. Grab a hold to the pieces, whatever was broken away, but grab a hold of those and allow for those things to float you to your destiny. And that's what we have to learn how to do. In my personal situation, eventually they let me go. And when they let me go, if I wasn't careful, I would have been really devastated, because I went from 6 figures to like $30,000. I mean, 30,000 annual salary. And if anybody know, that's a big drop. It's a big drop because your lifestyle has to change. And it was not announced. But I remembered that I had a wonderful brother who's an attorney who made sure I signed an agreement. And I went back to that agreement that they had to pay me for the next 6 months.
Yeah, that
salary, so that I could stack those coins. See, if we careful though, I would have soaked, as you said, we would got just soaked in that and sat in that bathtub of disappointment. Instead, I was like, oh no, we get ready to do something with this. It caused me to really push forward in my business. Again, we'll share that a little later. That is now 10 years, almost 10 years old.
Yeah. Wow. Let me just say this, and then I'm going to bring our other guests on. This has been awesome. I want to, as they say, reset the room. I see my brother Montez, Pastor Montez is out there. Mary Jordan is commenting so much. Patty Ford, you said something, Misha, about don't allow the event to become the death of you. Let it become the depth of you. And so I'm going to be using that, just so you know that.
I need my cash app is $.
All right, put it in the comment section, but I'm letting you know. We'll get some royalties together with that.
10%, you be all right. Just
right. But let me just reset the room. I want to bring our other guest on. She has made her arrival, and we're so glad to have her. She's been on with me before. Dear friend, dear sister, the doctor, Antonique Edwards is here. And how are you doing, Doc? I want to bring our other guest on. She has made her arrival, and we're so glad to have her. She's been on with me before. Dear friend, dear sister, the doctor, Antonique Edwards is here. I'm hearing some feedback. All right. We'll try one more time with that. All right. Let's just see. That was interesting. I've never had that happen before in a whole year's time. Dr. Edwards, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, wonderful. I'm doing well. Thank you. And I have been listening since the beginning. I serve as an assistant principal of a secondary school, so I am at the mercy of whatever happens on a campus, even on a Friday. And so I apologize for just now entering the room. But I will say that I have been listening to you in my travels, and you have been both Kale Man, Misha, you guys have said some phenomenal stuff, right? I'm like, yes, right? When there was the definition that you were giving about loss, I was thinking, when you lose something, it is, for many people, it is a recognition of an absence of something. Something is now missing. But I think that what we need to recognize is that when there is an absence, when something is now missing, there is more space for something new. When something goes lost, you have additional space. And so there is the capability for addition. That's why they tell you, or at least for the ladies, we all know they tell you do spring cleaning, clear out your closet. Because if you want some new clothes, you got to make room by getting rid of the old ones, right? And so a lot of times we are crying over the old garments, but we should be really grateful that God is giving us space for new things. And so for me, I heard you ask them, what was the initial thought process about loss? And for me, the very first thing, of course, was the fact that my daddy passed away. And, in June, it will be a year. And it was a tremendous loss for me in a time of a pandemic, because I did not know how to grieve, per se, without family. Being able to have a funeral with only 10 people, that's just not how the Edwards family rolls. When people pass away, everybody comes from far and near. And so I didn't know how hard that was going to be. And so experiencing that was the first thing for me. But when you first asked about this, and I was thinking, what questions, will he ask? And I was just thinking, whatever losses we have in life, and I've had a lot, that we have to be intentional about what happens after the loss. And I think that the way that we stay on top is to be very intentional about what the next step is. So I don't want to talk a lot. I just, I'm popping in, so I'm at the mercy of you, Dr. Shepherd. But I want to say hello to everybody, and I am just enjoying myself.
Well, thank you, and thank you for just coming in and just setting the room and just laying it all out. Again, and we do continue to give our condolences to you in the loss of your father. And I know you've actually even written a book in regards to your father. And I don't know if you want to just share that, just share just a little bit of that real quick, and then I'm going to take us a little further. Okay.
Sure. Thank you. I had an opportunity, very fortunate to have written a book called Daddy, Where Are You? Some years ago, did a republication of it for the search of fathers, right? Both natural and spiritual, and kind of talked about my journey, the hardships, the challenges, and even the revelation that was received. But after my dad's passing, I've actually been working on something new to help people get through their grieving process, because this was very different than that. But you all will also see coming up, and just this week, releasing a children's book, Daddy, Where Are You? Multicultural series is coming. And so just continuing to embrace that and helping people to understand that despite the losses that we might have here, we can work through it and work our way beyond the loss to be able to see what the lesson is. See, I was listening. I heard y'all. I get the lesson from the loss, and what can God, or our counselors or our families or just the actual events in life teach us so that we can come out better.
No, that's good. That's good. So thank you. I wanted to take that time, and I hate to rush sometimes at the end because people are trying to wrap up and things. So I wanted to be intentional in giving you that space to publicize and emphasize your book at this time. So please, you all out there, let's support Dr. Edwards with the children's book. People are already excited. People are commenting. But let's take the conversation further now. So loss has been the calling card of this pandemic. Really, I think that's going to be the major thing that people will talk about for years to come after we have gotten through after we have come through the COVID-19 pandemic. So I want us to talk to our listeners today, our viewers today, about how do we manage the emotions? How do we manage the expectations and the emotions during this crisis? And that's part of what we do at Hope Health Systems. Again, I'm a mental health professional. We help to manage emotions, because when you lose, there is a lot of negative connotations that go along with that. But how do we manage these emotions? How do we manage these expectations? I want to start with you, Kale, first to see what your response is. And again, you can give some personal story and reference on how you may have dealt with it even during this time.
Sure. When I saw that, I think this is so vital for the season we are living in, is because this is the thing that we must deal with, and that is the management of it. And one of the things that I've continued to stress to people, that first thing is being in Dr. Edwards, good to see you, my sister. That we have been forced into isolation, and that's probably one of the most dangerous things that we can be in when it comes to loss, is for you to isolate yourself, because you need to be in a season. That's what it is important to have those who I can connect with. Dr. Shepherd, there may be times, that I need you to be strong for me, and we get into this woe is me, and I get into my separate silo, and it becomes destructive in my mind. Of course, you all know about suicide, because they got so isolated in their mind that they felt like there was no other option of hope. And so the first point of management is coming out of isolation. I'm so grateful to God that we have been able to have the video chat and these things, and you have to see what has opened up even in this time. And so I'll kick it off by saying that even at the church and even with my family, I stress the importance of staying connected, whether it's through a video call, whether it's through a text message. Right. I would say, if you haven't seen them, just call them and see how they doing. Encourage them, put a word of affirmation in their spirit, what is going on? All right, I haven't heard from you. I haven't seen you. I want to see your face. There's times where I would call my parents, and then they were like, hey, FaceTime me. Why? Because I want to see you. And so I would say that as the first part of management, we need to control how much we are isolated, how much our mind is idle. We know that an idle mind is the devil's playground. So I'll start there and we kick it up as we're going. But that's one of the things as far as when it comes to management. Be aware of how much of course, we all need our time and our space away. I feel like you all know what I'm talking about when you're being isolated and it started to become destructive.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, no, that's good. As you were saying, I'm about to kick it over to Misha, but I was just thinking about those who have had children and how, as a baby, you want to make sure you have as much face time with that child, because even though they may not be able to understand your language, it's just something about seeing that mother's face, that father's face. There's something about that comfort that comes along with it. The child may be crying, may be hungry, or just despondent. But when they see that face, it does help and ease some of those emotions. So I hear you, my brother. Misha.
So I would say one is getting to know you.
Mm-hmm.
For me to manage my emotions and for me to be able to move with my emotions and yet not succumb to my emotions, I've got to know me. I got to know what triggered those triggers. I've got to know what things set me up or set me back. And I need to know those things. And I think one of the things that happened in the pandemic, because we had to spend more time with ourselves, it should have been an opportunity for us to get to know ourselves. I found out some things about me in the midst of the pandemic. So where I was maybe blaming outside forces, caused me to be disappointed, doubtful, fearful. It wasn't the outside sources because they weren't around any longer.
Right.
It was me. Something in me that was causing that. So once I get to that root of whatever that is, and one of the things that I worked at McDonald's for a little while, and they would tell us to keep asking yourself why till you get to the core, till you get to the reason why something is really happening. And a lot of times we just deal with surface stuff. But when I continue to ask myself, why does this bother you? Why is this upsetting you? Why, when you hear this person's voice, does it cause you to do or act a certain way? Why is it when you see something on television that has nothing to do with you that causes you to flip out, but yet you can hear something else and you go on mute? Why? Until I get to that core. And when I understand what is going on in me, then I can then manage those emotions that happen. I think God made us a triune being because he wants us to experience them, those emotions, but we need to experience them in a healthy way. Now, where Dr. Jonathan comes in and the others in your field is when we can't manage them. We need then some help. And we've got to be open, especially in the Black community, to reaching out to professionals to help us get understand who we are and what's going on in us. I bounce things off of people all the time. When I'm going through something, I run up against somebody and not no yes man. So can I say that? Quit bouncing up stuff against people that just tell you yes and give you a thumbs up all the time. And that's right, Doc. I don't need any. That's right, Doc. I need somebody that's going to tell me you were wrong. When you went off on that person, and let me just say, saints, I do. Yeah. When you went off on that person, you were wrong. You were in error and you shouldn't have. You should have pulled back. You should have got yourself together. And so understanding that. So if you can't do it yourself, then reach out to others that will help you, that will guide you, that will on that journey of really tapping into who you are so that you can manage those emotions.
Gotcha. All right, Dr. Edwards, come on. Take us on.
Well, I would say that sometimes people don't even recognize what their emotions are. They're oblivious to how they're even feeling. And so I think that the beginning of managing emotions is being honest with yourself about where you are in the moment. So even for, in preparation of coming here, even though I can have whatever valid reasons there are to be late, I was stressed all the way here. Good thing I didn't get a ticket because I was riding out trying to get to the house so that I can be online.
Oh, wow.
But I recognized for myself, my stress level was rising, right? Until I could get in the house, get tapped in. And then the laptop died. I had to reconnect. I had to go get the cord. I was like, really? And I was getting frustrated, right? But I know me, and I said, wait a minute, Edwards, now sit down, take a minute, breathe. It's gonna be all right. And so sometimes though, people don't recognize that, they don't see those pressures, right? And they just, for me, I know for me, I'm high stress like that because I'm very, I'm very competitive. I like to win. I like to be on top, right? And so if for me, coming on late is Misha and Kale gonna be there, but Antonique ain't, and they gonna be like where she was, and I'm gonna get the big L. I'm gonna be a loser after the losing session, right? Like that's all me, and I know that it's me. And so I have to go back and I have to think about that and say, okay, now find balance, right? When you go up high like that, you have to be able to say, how can I get back to this steady place? And you have to always seek balance. And for some people, that's going to be their closest friends and family who can get them into that place of being centered and having balance. For some people, it's going to be a health professional. For some people, it's going to be going to church services all the time, whatever it may be in that time of prayer, what have you. But get back to that place of balance, be in tune with yourself, and then become balanced. By some, and for a lot of us, it's all of those things, right? So that's just my thoughts.
And this is perfect because timing is so important. The fact of how you came in was at the right time. Now, you may not have wanted to come at that particular time, but it was the right time for what we needed at that moment. And I hear you. Misha, she was saying that you're saying that Dr. Edwards, Kale, we have to understand who we are. And this is one of the greatest things that has come out of this pandemic. I thought I know who I was. Just like Misha, I had to realize that some of this stuff that's happening to me, it's because of me. And I needed to change me. And what I recognized is that as I was changing, there was things that were falling off of me that, like people, even certain people who I thought I was connected to or supposed to be connected to, they were being cut, and I wasn't even cutting them. It was just the fact that time allowed. Even as I experienced, certain losses, I lost my ability to work like I normally would. I lost my ability to gain a salary. We had to make certain budgetary cuts. And being a leader, as a leader, you take those losses first. And again, there's just other things that I had to learn. But I understood, as you were talking about Dr. Edwards, is that if I raised up my stress level so much and started panicking, I don't think I'll be here today, truthfully. That my mindset was just so much, but I understood that with timing, then some of these things will play out. Again, with loss, some things do get better or easier with time, yes. But I hear you, and I can appreciate that. I have one more question. I think you want to say something, Kale, but I want to end on this question.
But
go ahead, Kale.
I wanted to throw this in there. I think even when it comes to managing, you never want to lose that spirit of expectation. You always want to live with a healthy adult expectation. Now, of course, we need to, that's a whole nother conversation of managing expectation based on our capacity. But even in the pandemic, don't allow what people perceive as losses to make you deter from goals that you have set and what you expect for your life. If you expect greater, don't allow misfortune to gauge that. And so again, just even when it comes to just kind of managing those things, I always like to ask people, what is your goals? You know what I mean? And then do you have a certain level of self-discipline that is needed when it comes to living with expectation? I just want to throw that in.
No, absolutely. Thank you. So I don't want for us to stray, and I don't think we've strayed, but I want us to make sure that we hit this how to lose and stay on top. Because the next question, and I think that will kind of shape us for the conclusion of the show, is how do we recover? So you've experienced the loss, you've experienced that that disappointment, you've experienced that hurt. And again, I'm talking broadly because there's so many of us who fall into that category. How do we recover? How do we recover in this time? Because we have to recover. Now, when I say have to recover, I'm not forcing you to recover because you don't have to. But today, we want to talk to those listeners who are like, Dr. Shepherd, I'm tired of where I am. I have survived. You talked about that, Kale. Yes, you're strong. But I tell people all the time, just because you survive doesn't mean that you've actually come through all right. You know, there's people who have survived strokes and yet they're not functioning. There's people who have survived illnesses and yet they're still messed up in their mind. They look good on the outside, but inside they're really messed up, kind of screwed up. I don't like to use that word screwed up, but that's truthfully what it is. So let's talk about that. What steps do you take to recover when you've had the loss and to stay on top? So let's just start with Misha and then we'll go around.
So I'll go back to my story. And after the separation from the investors, like I said, I launched my own business and I had to kind of, gain some footing, some ground there. I had the opportunity to run into those investors over the course of a period of time. And when I would encounter them, I was never mean, rude, did not point my anger or disappointment or my emotions to them. I took that opportunity to work on me and get myself together. And this is important because sometimes when we lose, sometimes we take those emotions or those angry feelings and we point them onto other people instead of dealing with them with ourselves. And so I want to say that it was probably in 2018. I was asked to sit in a meeting with my father, and it happened to be with those same investors.
Wow.
And the owner, he apologized for the way he treated me.
Wow.
Yeah. So he came back and apologized. And that was key for me because I had already gotten past it by doing just some self-assessment exercises, forgiveness, some therapy for me. But for him to apologize and say, it was my fault, I'm wrong. We started at how we handled you or mishandled you. And so in that moment, I didn't hold on to it. I didn't rattle off all the things that they did and remind them, yeah, you sure did. It was because it was behind me. God had done a new thing in me. And so in that time, I got a chance again to negotiate and advocate for myself. And so when I talked to them, I didn't talk to them as that same person that they got rid of in 2013.
Wow.
That they mistreated. I talked to them from the place that God had erected me to. And so it became beneficial. I gained some additional revenue. I invested it into my business. And in 2020, in the midst of the pandemic, my business went from generating, I think like $30,000 on the last tax to we did over $500,000 in the midst of the pandemic, starting in July, $500,000.
Wow. That's awesome.
From encountering that same person that pushed me out and then came to me, I could have still been sore. No, I'm going to connect with you. I'm going to receive. So what am I saying? I'm saying to you that a lot of times the way we view things, our perspective, if we see things out of the hurt, the pain, and we don't recover, if we see things out of the loss and we don't look for the treasures in the trials, if we see things from a negative perspective, we can miss the promises and the blessings that God has for us. This person he's a business person. I thought he was my friend. That's why I was so hurt. That's why I discovered in all that time of assessment, he was a friend. He wasn't a friend. He was a business person.
Mm.
He said, we can't sell this business and make money with a Black person. It wasn't personal.
Wow.
He was a business person. And now that I'm a business person and I'm generating revenue at a level that I've never generated before, I do make sure that I handle people from a place of a believer before I do as a business person.
Woo! You walk heavy through here. Thank you. Wow. I do need to reemphasize. I normally don't try to do that, but I need to reemphasize a couple of things that you said. Treasure and trials. I mean, people are commenting on this. Speak from your place of erection through God. Let me just speak from a mental health standpoint. This is one of the reasons why people get stuck sometimes. In not being able to move from that disorder that's not allowing them to function properly because their viewpoints are off. This is one of the things I really struggle with. So just in case some people say, well, how does this relate to mental health? Believe me, it is, because how you think about yourself and how you view yourself and how you even integrate your emotions and interactions with other people, it really does play on your mental well-being. And let me tell you, that is one of the things that I really struggle with when you try to let people know, hey, you're better than this. Hey, it really wasn't that personal. That's huge right there, because you need to understand the relationship that you are in with certain people so you won't get hurt when certain things go down. Oh, man. I hear that. I needed to hear that. Oh, I needed to hear that one. Come on, my brother. Don't hurt me now.
Well, no, that was amazing, and but just to piggyback about that, off that, when it comes to staying on top, it's all about your perspective. If you can really realize, and this may be challenging for some, that winning is not in the outcome, and being on top is not really about the outcome, but it's about the effort that was put into the attempt. Okay. Just you celebrate because you attempted it, right? A lot of times we got to let the okay set in. You got to be okay that it didn't go the way I expected it to go, right? But if I know I gave a great effort, right? I know I tried my very best. That's when it becomes okay. Let me learn the opportunities, and then you really get to I'm still winning. Why? Because I learned from it. Right. The detriment of a loss is when I don't learn anything from it. If I can take something from it that I now add to myself, right? A boxer goes into the ring, they train extremely hard. Win or loss, they train, right? They train as a champion, right? And they know they're a champion when they step in the ring, not based on the outcome, because based on the outcome is man's perspective. You know what I'm saying? That's the world's perspective. But for that person, and so therefore, if I lose, why does that help? Because even if it didn't go my way, guess what I got to do? I got to get up. I got to get back in the ring. I got to get back into training. I got to train harder. I got to add more to myself. I'm not leaving you. Let people know this ain't the last time you saw me. You have to know, listen, I'm still winning, because my effort and my drive should not be solely based on the outcome. Right? I teach people all the time. You need to learn how to love what you're doing when nobody is watching. What the Bible said, what you do in silent, he'll reward in open. You know what I'm saying? Right. So you become winners by what you do when nobody is watching. And then if the outcome doesn't go your way, and you ask the question, did you give it everything you had? Yes. Okay. Well, what do we learn from this situation? Because the fact of the matter is, I'm not going to give up. We not throwing in the towel, but sometimes, you can't allow this stuff to linger. It happened. Okay. If I gave him, now, if you didn't give it your best effort, there's just questions you got to ask yourself. But if you the way you stay on top is, listen, I was winning while I was attempting it. My effort showed that I was winning. You know what I mean? My effort showed that I was on top. The outcome may not have gone in my favor. I get it. But you know what? We're going to retool, but we're not going to go backwards. We're not going in reverse. Keep giving the effort. Do not downplay what is happening, the work that you put in when nobody is watching. Like I said, I got a son, he play ball. I tell him, for every one shot you make in the basketball game, you got to make that shot 3,000 times while nobody's watching. You see what I'm saying? When you fall in love with that, then my efforts are not predicated on momentary outcomes, right? That's where we have to make sure I don't make a permanent decision in a temporary situation. You see what I'm saying? Because my effort is there and I have to continue to work towards that. And we have to believe that it'll work in our favor. So keep going. You was a winner before you even, not based on the outcome, but because you gave everything in the attempt.
Absolutely. Oh man, this is good. Dr. Edwards, I want you to kind of take us on home, but I want you in your response to hit on this question that was asked. I think it was a good question. Ms. Deidre Weathers asked it. Is there a time when we should expect the unexpected?
OMG, who was that? Tell her, bless the Lord. Okay, so this is what I was about to say, right? Miss Deidre, this is what I was about to say. So I come into the office on today, and someone came into the office and they were talking to me and they were like, "Oh, I thought you were kind of moving kind of slow in there." I said, "I'm just tired. I had a long day yesterday." I said, "But yesterday, actually, it was a good day. Things were going really well." I said, "Didn't turn out the way I expected, but it was still a good day." And I said, "That's because yesterday I had a miracle mindset." She said, "What?" I said, "I had a miracle mindset," right? Like I just believed that anything good could happen on yesterday. And my whole day went a lot better than I would have just expected. And even though it didn't end the way that I wanted it to end, I was still okay. I still feel like I came out winning, right? And so I want to go back to what Pastor Mann said earlier. He said we have to be careful about how we subscribe to societal norms. And so when those norms for us are that, losing is bad, that it's a negative thing, that it's not the lesson, but it's the loss. That means that it's subscribing to just how you feel and not just what has happened, right? We're not just looking at the factual basis of things, but we are instead tying ourselves to the emotional feeling of it. And I'll give an example. And he's talking about sports. He's talking about some, we had a football team. God bless us. We were losing really, really, really bad for a couple of years, right? But there was something that we knew, and even the students knew at our school. You could watch them and you could say, these kids have skill, but they're always losing because they always come out, right, with a score that was less than the opposing team. Because when they began to lose, when the other team made a touchdown, you could watch everything about them change. It started in their mind. Wow. So their expectation was that they had lost before the game wasn't over. This could happen in the first quarter. There was still opportunities for them to change and turn things around, but their actions followed after their belief system. They did not think they were going to win, so they performed like a loser. And so it's just like you had the ability to turn things around, but you didn't expect anything other. And so I would say to Miss Deidre that you should always be in a place where you can expect the unexpected, especially if you're coming from places of faith, that it can go beyond where you're just standing right now. There's a lot of losses that we'll encounter in life, but we can certainly go beyond those places. We can learn. We can be strengthened by the weakest moments in life, right? There's some incidents that have occurred with students and things, at schools. And I was talking to some parents in the last couple of weeks, and I was saying to them, and because of something that had occurred, and I said, don't take it out too harshly on your children, because sometimes what is perceived to be the worst decision in that moment, what is perceived to be, oh my God, this has happened to my family right now, is the best learning experience they can ever have in their life. And there are some experiences that we go through that will teach us more than any book can ever teach us, and more than any person will ever say to us, that when we live it out, it transforms the way in which we approach things in our life moving forward. And that right there is a win. So I will go back and I will say the same way that Pastor Mann said, define what losses are. Don't let it just be how society is. We need to redefine what a win is. Sometimes when we're looking at those things that seem to be hurtful for us, those are wins. They're not losses. Wow. And you might not see the manifestation of what is deemed to be a win in this moment. Right now, it might be tears flowing down your eyes, but in your future, it is so much better. In your future, it's so much brighter. And so for me, overcoming some of those things and those challenges, like when I think about my dad, I try to do things that were very healthy, things that I hadn't done before. And I've had losses in my family. I've lost students, I've lost friends, I've lost family members, but it was something about when my daddy passed away, right? And so in that though, you know, I took long walks. I prayed a whole lot more. I talked to people. It was just a lot of things that I did to keep my mind right. But I also said through the process, God, again, like Misha, I'm faith-based. Everybody who's listening may not be. I'm just talking about me.
That's right.
What is it that I can get from this that will make my tomorrow better than I feel right now? And that drive right there is what helped me not only in my healing, but and to search for purpose in what I've gone through, but allow me to stay on top. Because when I would go to work and stuff, that people would say, man, you still smiling. It seemed like things are good, because I just believe that something greater has to come out of this. I'm not going to suffer for naught. You know, the word tells us that if you suffer with him, you will reign with him. And I believe that. And I don't believe that he will leave me or forsake me. So it may not be what I like, might not be what feels good. It may, you know, in this moment, it might hurt like all get out, but it won't last forever. I've come to recognize that all of our suffering, it doesn't last every single day. And so in moving forward, I just feel like that's how people stay on top, knowing that, hey, you have to look to what's ahead, to know that there are some brighter days ahead of you, no matter how cloudy today is, and hold on to that and surround yourself with people who will move you in that direction. Don't be stand around and hang out with the mourners, because there are some out there. There's some people who will have a party with you all day, every day.
That's right. Professional mourners.
And be the crowd you want to hang out with. So those are just, you know, my words, I guess, of encouragement. She says, should you expect the unexpected? I think so, in a good and a positive way. Some people expect the unexpected. They're always looking for doomsday to come. But I also believe that you get what you look for, right? Because you're looking for it. You ever see anybody, they get a new car and you see them, and after they get it, you see that kind of car all the time on the road. Now that it's in your mind, and or, you know, it's like, how come I ain't never saw a red, you know, whatever Cadillac. Now I see them every time I'm driving. You get what you look for. And so keep continuing to look for the good, the unexpected. Expect for it to be the greatest ever. Expect for the transition, transformation, and the wonderful things to happen.
Absolutely. Man, we needed you. You came in at the right time. I'm going to keep saying that. It is time to bring this to a close. Man, this is awesome. I have enjoyed the conversation. Our comment line has just been blowing up. People have been enjoying the nuggets that you all have been dropping. This really does pertain to mental health, you all. I keep speaking to people about what mental health is. Mental health is not the same as emotional health. Mental health relies on your potential, your ability to cope, your work, and your ability to contribute or make a contribution to your community. Emotional health is just one part of that. And so I am really looking to see how we can, again, elevate this type of conversation to where people will tune in, not just those who are dealing with mental health issues, but people who need inspiration, people who need just a little bit of kick to, you know, let them know that we're coming out of the pandemic. One of the things I'm studying, and I am concluding here, is how do you come out of a pandemic? The exodus from the crisis. That's what I'm really studying right now, because this is where I believe that we're at. I think transition management is huge, my brother. And so I want us to be ready. And I think this conversation today has helped so many people. Honestly, today has helped me, truthfully, as I've been jotting the notes. This is what I want to do in our conclusion, because we're done. All right. Just tell the people where they can reach out to you. If you wanted to know your social media networks, we already heard about Dr. Edwards' book. We're just going to go in reverse order now. Dr. Edwards, just tell the people where they can reach out to you, where they can purchase your book, and all that good stuff.
So you can go to Antonique.com. My name is on the screen, so it's my first name.com. Antonique Edwards. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instapraise on my Instagram, because I like to pray. I'm at Antonique@gmail.com. Everything's my first name. Tell my mama thank you for a unique first name. So if you just look up Antonique, you can find me. And if you hit me up search Google Mail, I should be more acting
You're
like
good.
right now. And so,
That's right.
if you go to Amazon.com, all the books that I've written, prayer CDs, all that stuff, they're all on Amazon.
That's great. All right, Kale.
Hey, you find me on Facebook, but other than that, listen, I will, go to my the church page, Faith Temple Community Church of God in Christ, our website, ftccommunity.org. We are attempting as a community to really do impactful things, not just around, of course, around mental health, around the vaccination, around coming out of this post quarantine and moving into this post quarantine era. So my church page is Faith Temple Community, ftccommunity.org. We are on Facebook, Faith Temple Community Church of God in Christ. Please connect with us. It is more than just, in the worship setting. We can give you that. We can go with you all day long. But we really want to meet families right where they are. We are casting our net and we throwing them in the same places we didn't get fish last time, and we're gonna throw it again because, like what Dr. Edwards said, we're looking for fishing. So connect with us there, and I look forward to what God is going to do as we all come together. Thank you for the time, Dr. Shepherd. It's been amazing.
Oh, absolutely, man. You did a wonderful job. All right, come on, take us on out, Misha.
Okay, so you can connect with me on Facebook every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. That's 8 a.m. Eastern Time at Conversations. So Facebook.com/Conversations is the page that you can reach us at. You can go to our church website, and that is Cathedral Praise, not of Praise, but cathedralpraise.org. And you can catch any of the information that you need to get a hold of us. I am on there, Misha at cathedralpraise.org, where you can reach me there if you need to email me as well. I talked a little bit at the beginning about some of the relief programs that we are having in that area. So if you know someone in the Metro Nashville area that has been faced with eviction, they need help with their rent, their utilities, we are participating in a grant that was given to us by the municipality. And so they have money out there. That's why I tell people, don't let them lie to you and tell you don't have no money. They found $1 trillion one time, $1 billion another time. They got money, and it can just fall out of the sky. That money is out there. Get the money. But we want to be a help, and that's at City of Life, CDC.org, City of Life, CDC.org. You can find out some information about what we're doing to help the community. And I thank you all so much. And thank you, Dr. Shepherd. It was a pleasure. Pastor Mann, it's good seeing you again. And Dr. Edwards, it's always a pleasure. It looks like every time that I'm on, I'm on. I don't know if he thinks you're a dynamic duo, but I do.
Yes, thank you all. I appreciate being here, Dr. Shepherd.
It's been awesome. So panel, just hang tight. I'm just going to close us out here. Hope Health Systems, which is the sponsor of this program. It is the organization where I serve as the chief medical director, headquartered, I should say, in Woodlawn, Maryland, suburb of Baltimore, Maryland. But we have sites throughout the state of Maryland. Actually, the third largest provider of children's mental health services in the state of Maryland. It's just really a growing organization. And this show, honestly, continues to bring in more people. It brings in people who I must tell this. I had a patient last week. I saw you on YouTube, and I say, wait a minute. I was totally blown away. I was blown away. She came up in and acted a straight up mess, but then we talked about YouTube, and she gotta calm down. All right, I ain't gonna say too much more. That's HIPAA violation, but let me just tell you, she saw me on YouTube. She said, I watched the show. I was looking you up. But anyway. So I do know that this show, people do watch. And I told you, replays, we get triple the number of views through our replays. So I'm not worried about the live views. I know people are gathering the information, they're garnering it, they're bringing it in, they're going to utilize it. Please reach out to these guests. They are some tremendous people, well-respected in their areas. And I am so grateful that they were fortunate to come and spend some time with me on Ask the Doctors broadcast. All right, please remember, you still got to wear your mask. I know some of you have been vaccinated. You still got to wear your mask because these variants are out there. I'm praying for those up in Michigan. Michigan is getting hit hard right now with just the infection rates and other cases that are going on. Again, we're praying for all those people who have lost loved ones, family members. Our hearts and our prayers are going out to you. So again, we'll see you next week. Same time, same type of broadcast. We're going to change just the subject a little bit, but I am looking forward to it as we continue to build on this particular platform that we have been afforded to. You all take care. Enjoy yourself. Panelists, please hang on.